Alright, so top of the morning to you laddies. My name's Man Buck. Welcome back to part 3 of 5 of our mod release series. This is 2015 Dodge Charger. Link can be found in the description down below. This is a PC-only mod. I did make last-minute changes, which is why this one's a little bit later. I added passenger to this car. I also gave it one more set of rims, as well as another option for the body. So, for less further ado, if you guys want to just go grab the mod, go right ahead. But also, if you guys want to get to the actual review of this thing, this has a lot to offer. I mean, this thing smokes the Mustang and any other car mod that I've ever done. This is the caliper of any of the F series, Ram series, all that stuff back in 19. So let's get right into it. So the car can be found under the cars category, and it starts at $31,000. Now you'll notice that the car has a satin black hood that can be changed down here in the hood options as a color match, or like I had it, you can have a black satin hood. This has an 8-speed automatic transmission. For every option, there's no manual, there's no 6 speeds. It is an 8-speed automatic transmission. There are 2 ranges, a civilian mode and a 5.0 mode. Basically, because this car has a police option. The police option 5.0 goes faster, but it's a little bit slower to get up to speed, so you kind of just use your ranges. But the ranges control the speed of the car. The only one that does not have that is the last and most powerful option, which is the Demon version, which does not really exist, but we all know how Dodge is. They'd make one anyway if they could. And that is just a launch mode. So going into this, we have a ton of options, and I mean a ton, which all coordinate with each other. The biggest thing about this car is that there is huge portions that only work when certain options are enabled, being the police options and the civilian options do not cross, with the strobe lights and siren being the most notable. If you have a police preset on, which can be found right there down law enforcement presets, you have an option to put on a retired preset, which allows you to put the push bar and the spotlights on here, which if you have not a retired, you cannot put those on. But if you have a retired cop car, you can put those on there. This does not mean you can activate your strobe lights or the siren. You have to have one of the actual presets, which there is a Slick Top 2, which Slick Top 2 just adds a light pattern behind your windshield and a strobe that goes down the side. Then you get a Pursuit 1, which just has a older style of light bar, and then Pursuit 3 is the same thing. It just adds those light bars down on the bottom, but just changes the bar ups up on the top. If you have none on there, this is considered the civilian version. But in order to have what we have the department schemes, you have to have at least a Slick Top or one of the other presets on here. Presets for the cop versions that we have on here are Nebraska State Troopers, Iowa State Troopers, Wisconsin State Patrol, and a custom-made Sheriff Elm Creek County. I love this one. I actually kind of created this one. The only thing I kind of used to borrow was a stripe line from this. The rest of that stuff I kind of pieced together, so kind of a nice if you guys want to have this for an RP. There's a lot of different things you can do with this. It does have license plates that do change with the map, so you can just put those on there. But going on to the next part here, let's take all this off because we already kind of went over all the police options. And the push bar looks like this. It does have a set of lights in the front, and it does also have a collision. This push bar does have a collision that is on when the push bar is on, so you can technically pit somebody. So going on to the next major option here, let's just take, like I said, all of this off. We do have a spoiler, so you can have no spoiler on the rear, or you can opt for an SXT, which is just a very low lip ducktail spoiler in essence. Then you have the SRT's ducktail spoiler, as well as a 2014 throwback, which does come into play, and then like a big boy drag version, which is just basically the SRT spoiler with an extra little lip on there for what would be in real life more downforce. I personally love the big boy one. The big boy one is nice. Plus, it's kind of got like a little glass portion in there, so that's kind of cool. Then we go to the Daytona variant, which is only available on the civilian version. You have to have a none or maybe even retired. I don't remember if it does it on the retired version. It does not. You have to have it on none to show the Daytona scheme, which just puts a Hemi badge as well as the Daytona badge up on the hood and this. These are also controlled by the spoiler, so you can change the color of those, which is really, really nice. Going on to that, you can then take off the Daytona variant, which is right here. And then spotlights, like we already said, you can't have those on there if you don't have police stuff. Push bar, same thing. And it's labeled too, so you can actually see that. Plate location, you don't have to have one in the front, but you can also opt to get one on the front or you can get it up in the front windshield. And same, that runs off of this. So if you get one front and back, it does change its location from the windshield to the front or none at all. With the front options, SXT to SRT only, you can have this crosshair. You can change it to have a chrome crosshair, your painted bumper, or both, which I actually kind of really like that I did that option. It didn't have that option to make those in the first place. It just kind of stayed like this if you had the RT's front. So now you do have that option to clean up the front end. That's just one last little thing. Here is the moneymaker. The engine setups control everything you got here. So like I said, this is a full-blown SRT, SXT. It's almost everything in the book that this car offered. So you're going to get an SXT, or you can bump it up to a GT, which these are V6s. The hood does open to reveal an engine for each car. So there is a V6 engine underneath the hood of an SXT and a GT. Once you bump up to the GT Hemi, you do get a 5.7-liter Hemi, which is really, really nice. And then the wheels do widen up a little bit. You get a little bit more oomph to your tires. And then you go to the RT, which then changes your badge in the front to an RT as well as back on the deck lid. You then bump up to a RT's new front end, which is basically the SRT's front end, but it does not have SRT on it, nor does it change your badge on the steering wheel in the car. You then bump up to the Scat Pack, which puts in a 392, which there is a 392 motor under the hood, as well as the Scat Pack badge on the back. Nothing else really changes around the car. You then bump up to the 6.4-liter throwback. This is where that spoiler comes into play, because this is a throwback to the 2014 Charger SRT8. This was just kind of a little bit of a fun part, and there is a 6.4 Hemi under the hood. Then we bump up and we finally get to the SRT Hellcat, the original one. And, well, again, once you start getting into these bigger tires, they actually start to widen. So it has the Hellcat then does have the 707 horsepower. I kept the power numbers as realistic as possible. And then you start getting the SRT on the steering wheel. You then bump up to the wide body package, which then is a Scat Pack wide body. Dumps down on power, but it does end up making your tires a heck of a lot wider. And I mean, they are thick boys now. The back ends also do change as well with all this, just the body panels. You then go up to the SRT wide body, and then finally the SRT Demon, which that alone is a $60,000 option. So you can see what I mean by this thing just kind of can get more and more expensive. But the last thing, but certainly not least, is the wheels. What kind of wheels does this thing offer? Well, because of the fact that the Chargers actually do now come in all-wheel drive, certain setups of wheels you can get in a two-wheel drive or all-wheel drive setup. You can get these 20-inch GTs as well as the SXT wheels in the rear wheel and all-wheel drive, but once we get up to the RT rims, which you can change the color of the rims, there's a matte aluminum, stainless steel. I mean, there's a whole bunch. You can even get the bronze ones that go on the SRT rims, or you can get a black gloss. Looks really, really good. So we'll just put on stainless so we can kind of see. But you got, I mean, the GT rims, like I said, or you can get the newer RT rims. This is a new set of rims that I put on the car from beforehand. Then we start bumping up to like the Scat Pack rims, but basically I call it the Devil's rims since there wasn't really a name. Those are the Scat Pack rims. Then it goes to the SRT wheels, a different set of Demon wheels, and then the actual Demon wheels that went on the car. Then we go into the police variants, which do have Steelies, rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. Then the aluminum versions that are rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, those are not the original actual rims. Those are a mock-up that I used from BMNG. And then we have the Charger Steelies, which are only rear-wheel drive, and then the aluminums that are all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. So there's just a lot of different options that you kind of have to play around with just so you can kind of get an idea of how complexly put together these kinds of cars are. But like this is just a SRT Hellcat wide body variation that, like I said, once you pop the car up here on the hood, you start it up. Sounds mean as can be. You can pop the hood, and under the hood of this one is the supercharged 6.4-liter Hemi. So it just kind of gives it a little a bit of character. But if we go over to the RT here, as we can see, we do have a 5.7-liter Hemi under the hood. And then same thing, because these are all RTs, they do end up having the RT motor in them. But just so we can show you guys what I mean by the other engines, we'll just buy quick variations of the GT, which I'm actually just going to make because if I don't change that hood color, it's going to drive me nuts. There's that, and then we'll just buy a green one. And the color palette is actually all their colors. So satin beige, Daytona yellow, F8 green. I mean, there's just a ton of these things. So let's just throw back to the white variation. Boom, we'll throw on those wheels. No, we'll throw on them right there. Yeah, I like those. Do that, and then the 6R.4 throwback. We'll just buy those. And let's run over here. We'll take the cop car for a ride so you guys can see all that stuff. But like I said, here's the GT. They all sound the same. There's nothing different. But again, 3.6 liter V6. And then, last but not least, the 6.4, once I can get it to drag up there. And there you go, the 6.4 Hemi. So, all of which are very much fun. The car is amazing to drive. It has a great handling abilities. I have my field of view at 45, so that's why it's scooted up. But like once we get into the civilian version here, we'll just kind of look around. It's got the SRT steering wheel, fully working gauges and steering wheel, odometer, turn signals, the whole shebang. And like I said, there is the civilian and 5.0. Oh, never mind. Hold on. Got in the wrong car. Once we get in here, though, we can definitely tell that it's got a lot of just basic features. There's nothing really here. I did not get the sunroof to open because I didn't add interactive controls or anything. I just kind of have the car for fun here. You can open up the trunk by pressing N, so that is really, really nice. I love that little bit of feature. So I can, and it does have collision, so you can put stuff in the back of the car. Once we kind of press, I'm in multiplayer, so you can press the Control G, and there is your first guy. He just kind of sits there, chills, hangs out, and then boom, boom, boom. And each one does have their own cameras, so we can kind of get back into the driver. Boom, bang, bang. And with the cop car, you can get in there, and it does have the police dash, as well as a back board with the separator. So once you are back in the back of the cop car, you can see that it is amazing. So let's take this SRT wide body for a spin. You guys will be able to see the difference in performance-wise. The car gets up to speed relatively quickly because of that automatic transmission. It just kind of gets up and goes. Each car maxes out at 198 miles an hour. It does get a little squirrely, but that's also because the suspensions are a little bit more performance-like. They are still bouncy. You still can move around fairly well. But that's just the whole point of this car. I mean, it's got everything that you're going to ever want. And like I said, you press X to turn on. Once you come up here, it says unfold car. That turns on your siren. So that's why that's not there. You can't hear that unless you have the police variation on. Home would be your strobes, but again, you are driving a civilian version, so there is no way to hear this, see the strobes unless you have a police version. So we'll go to the cop car and we'll touch that up quick. So hopping over here to the RT sheriff car. We'll just start this up quick, close our hood, and the strobe pattern, pretty simplistic. It's nothing fancy, nothing special, but it does have the little light up. And then, like I said, the other one, it just has another band of lights that go on the back windshield as well as down on the side of the running boards. But this is an RT version, so it's not going to get up to go nearly as quick as the SRT is. But it's like now we can just turn on and press X. Our police light. It does have a regular horn. Turn that off. Flip this puppy around, and I think this is an all-wheel drive variant for what I can remember, so great for those moments when you need to get this thing unstuck and not high-centered. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe down below if you guys really want to see more mods like this, as I love to do. The amount of detail that I put into these things, it is my pride and joy, the amount that I've learned to be able to do with these things. So be sure to go check out that link in the description down below if you guys want to try this out. Like I said, it is only PC only. But with that being said, guys, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe down below if you guys haven't already known. You guys already know who's in it. Be sure to check out the Boomstick Club for all the up-to-date content from me and the gang. You guys already know who's in it, and I shall see you all in the next one. This is the Rental Man out.